Vasil!
Hey, William.
Oh my god, what do you think about when I say North Macedonia at the Eurovision Song Contest?
Winner?
Oh, yes. I also think of Vasil Garvanliev. That would be you. Should we talk about it? Let's
do it!
You do it, I do this. It's all good.
Bring it.
Thank you so much for stopping by my apartment.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
We should give a little bit of context. You have flown in from where?
From the north.
Yeah.
From Toronto.
That's a long flight.
It is.
Why were you in Canada?
Doing a concert, and I'm also recording my album.
Okay.
Yes. Which will have to be put on hold for a little bit due to this glorious journey coming up in May.
So the album does not yet feature your Eurovision song?
No, does not.
Okay. This Eurovision gig, when did it come about?
When did it come about? About 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Wait, so you really didn't know until recently?
No. Yeah. I announced, what was it, the 15th, 16th. I knew about 5 days before that.
Oh, wow.
And I had to be quiet. Then I announced, and the next morning I had to get on a plane.
You left North Macedonia?
Yeah. So then I go back tomorrow. So tomorrow will be the first time since announcement that I'm back.
Oh, wow. Wait, what is that timing about? Why did you leave North Macedonia?
It was, thank you, universe. I don't know. Honestly, the trip to Toronto was booked. And I knew I had the concert coming up.
Okay.
And that was it. And they said, you have to announce before you leave.
Oh, wow.
And that was it. And I honestly did not believe it until I got on the national news. I had to get on the national news and be like, I am your voice. So it was amazing.
I should point out, you, of course, were a backing vocalist for Tamara Todevska. You were part of the team.
Team proud.
Oh, and you
Yeah.
must be so proud of that result.
Yes, very much so.
What was it like sitting there in the voting, not knowing what would happen, and then having all of that happen?
We all guessed what place we would be. I said 6th from the moment we met.
Confident.
The group, yeah, I just knew the moment I heard her sing. And then in the first rehearsal that we had there, I was like, okay, this is it.
Ooh.
So, but it was just keeping it calm.
Yeah. And in the actual voting, the night of, because people thought you would do well, but I don't think many people predicted you would win the jury vote.
But yeah, it was amazing. Felt like a dream, trying to go back to it. Because I was the closest, so I kept trying to, because the cameramen keep running to
Right.
fool you that they're going to come to your country. And he kept being like, move your foot. I was like, another 12. So it was magical.
Oh, and we've got to talk about your history, because there is a very long history here.
There is.
Born in Skopje?
Strumica.
Strumica.
Strumica, yeah, born in the other side of the country. I started singing professionally when I was 7 and became one of the biggest child pop stars. Released an album when I was 8. And one of the songs called Marionka. You should look it up. Has become one of the, dare I say, is the most famous child song that all the children, even to this day, grew up with. About a Macedonian who looks like a Japanese, but she is not Japanese, she is Macedonian, the most beautiful Macedonian girl there is.
I love that.
Mare Marionka.
Okay. I've heard the song, and it definitely has an Eastern vibe. You were already building bridges, at 7 or 8 years old.
And there's a very specific dance move to it. Check it out. You'll see.
And I actually like the message. I am also ambiguously Asian, like Caucasian. So I appreciate the message of that song.
You're welcome.
Building bridges.
You are welcome.
And you're very humble, but I should just point out, when he says he was a child star, he was the biggest child star. I've done my research. I have talked to folks. It is a fact. What was that like to be so young and so known?
Like a dream. Honestly, I was so young that I don't think I was aware. And then with the family immigrated to the States, right at the peak of the career. So it was interesting. Before, I always said, It didn't hit my head because I hadn't hit puberty yet.
Oh.
So we left at which was an interesting, and that's what I call immigrating to the States, my most humbling moment, because the biggest pop star moved to the States without being able to say anything in English. Yes, no, hello, goodbye, and
Oh,
a bad
wow.
one.
Wow.
But that was it. So that was the humbling experience. I had an interesting story there to share. 7th grade, did not speak English, and first class was gym class.
Oh.
I couldn't find the gym. I walk in, teacher says something to me. I didn't know what to do, so I went, Teacher raises his arm. Everybody's sitting down. Somebody says something, and all the boys point a finger at me and start laughing. And then I just bop, and then I didn't know what was going on. I learned English a little bit, and the teacher said, "Are you a girl?" By the way, when you go and check out Marionka, my image was this long, beautiful hair. So the teacher asked, "Are you a girl?" And I went,
Oh.
I don't know what to do. So I went, And some boy said, "I don't think he speaks English." Ha, 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 ha.
Oh, gosh.
And that shut me up. I was quiet literally about a year. I didn't speak. And then it was interesting. I experienced, that's why I call it the most humbling, from Macedonia being the star to nothing. And then bullying started until I started singing.
Oh,
Then I opened my mouth to sing in music. So it's interesting. It's been my guideline throughout. We were in Chicago, and since I've been 23 years outside. I was in Toronto, Milan, London, and Chicago. And music has always been my, what do I call it, my
It steadies
guide or my-
you.
Yep.
Now, we should point out 7th grade is like 12, 13 years
12,
old.
13.
It's a very difficult period anyways. People can be really cruel at that age. So you were 12 or 13 when you landed in America. What brought your family to the United States?
The fear, we didn't know what was going to happen with the Kosovo War at the time. So that was, and then to all of us Europeans, America is the promised land. So my mom wanted the opportunity for me and my brother to get education, to just broaden up everything. And just going back to this experience that I say shut me up, my mom said, "Why don't you join choir?" And I remember going to, and it was the first time somebody tried to say my name. And she goes, "What is your name?" "Vasil. Vasil, Vasil." And my mom says, "Why don't you give her one of your country tours?"
Oh.
So I remember we have this inside joke. I go, "Judy." And I go, "Judy, here, watch this." And she thought it would be some choir concert. And it's a promo of my album with thousands of people screaming, rip. There was a moment where I was throwing shirts. Girls were ripping the shirts. And she just could not believe it. And I remember she ran, I was at lunch, grabbed me out of my seat and kept saying "fabulous." And I'm like, I'm in so much trouble. I don't know what fabulous means. Fabulous, fabulous. She took me to the library and there was a big globe and she kept saying Macedonia, Macedonia. And I remember I pointed, and I get goosebumps saying it. She took me every day after school for 2 hours, taught me word by word English, and started playing all kinds of music for me. So she was the one who introduced, so funny enough, music, led the way. And that's how I became part of the Chicago Children's Choir, for which I became the soloist. And this is how that door was open to singing backup vocal to a lot of the A-stars in both pop, classical, and musicals. So it was Celine Dion, Nick Carter, Enrique Iglesias,
Oh, well, hold up.
Julie Andrews.
You sang with all of these people?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Starting at what age?
This was 13.
Wow.
13, so it was great, and many, many honors, events. Remember, one of my favorite stories was an event at the White House, singing for the 20 most influential people in the world. We were little though, but those lessons that you learn meeting those people is that you do not learn that at school. And I remember three individuals. Barbara Streisand was the first. We walked up to her. She doesn't speak. Donna Karen spoke for her. So you would ask her a question. Donna would whisper. She would look. Donna would answer. But my favorite was Maya Angelou.
Oh.
There was three of us who got just the way it worked. She came up and she said, "Child, always go from truth."
Oh my God.
No matter what.
She was ahead of the time.
Oh yeah. She always just, I will never forget this. She said, "Follow your truth. Nobody can go after you."
Wow.
Yeah.
This is in the 90s? Early noughties?
Late 90s, early thousands, I think was the 20. I think that could have been the millennium.
Wow.
Anywho, but from then I decided that I want to study voice, and there was a competition in the States where they said we have pop, musicals and opera. And they said, we're not letting you do pop or musicals because we're never going to win. You're going to do opera. And I went, what the beep is opera? And that's when it all kind of started. I learned 5 pieces. And it was the competition to become a presidential scholar, to get, Bush was the president at the time, $250,000 a year for school. Long short, learned those 5 pieces. I was so turned on to not being able to do opera. And I said, ooh, I got to do this. I got to try this. Out of regionals, 800 got first place, nominated to nationals, 10,000. First place, nominated for presidential scholar. And then the towers fell. So this one family was deported.
Oh,
this
no.
Was when, so it's interesting for me. Music journey has always gone up. And just before the light goes.
Your family was deported?
Yeah, we were deported.
After 9/11?
After 9/11. So 2003, ended up leaving the States. Was supposed to study in New York. Lost the full scholarship. It's interesting, but then I remember going, even the competition. I had won the first place, was nominated for the scholar, and they said, we can't give it to you because you're not American. And I said, oh, that's okay. I'll also never forget that moment. I said, it's okay. You've shown me what I want to do in life. And I lost. I remember Juilliard, they had called and they said, the scholarship you don't get because of similar. I was so young. And that's how my journey led me to Milan and then ended up in Toronto. So that's how I was in Toronto for 10 years. And opera career took off with the first year of undergrad. So,
wow. So you're a citizen of North Macedonia and do you have
Bulgaria.
And Bulgaria. Hello, Varna. Hello, Sophia. So how do you have the Bulgarian passport?
Grandma, distant relative, was born. Strumica is very close to the Bulgarian border.
Okay.
So I'm on that side of the country. So that is why.
Y'all better throw him some votes.
Come on, Victoria.
It's so your story is so interesting because obviously you've lived in many places. When people ask you, where are you from? What is your answer?
Macedonia. But where is home? Here. So.
Yes, good answer. Canada, though. You've just come from Canada. Hey. You have lots of gigs in Canada. I read about you in a Canadian opera magazine. It seems like in Canada you really established yourself, I'd say, as an opera singer. People really respect you. Could you talk about Canada and its role in your journey?
Well, Canada, so undergrad, when the scholarship in New York didn't work out, they said, come to London. So I came, giving you a little backstory to get to that, came to audition for the Royal College. They took me, College of Music, and they said, we take you, but we have our 3 spots filled, wait 1 year. And then I ended up in Milan. So that's how I studied at Accademia from La Scala. And in this chaos, and I had a parallel of not speaking Italian in Italy, the way America was, I forgot to reply to London. Okay. Then by the time I wrote, they said, we gave away your spot, wait 1 more year. No. And then I remember being like, I have to be closer to Chicago. And that's how Toronto came up. Royal Conservatory, got the full scholarship, went, said, okay, moving. And I remember my first master class of undergrad for the grad students. They asked for a volunteer, nobody went up, and I just put my arm up. And the director of the opera company, Opera Atelier, which ended up being my home opera company, was so in awe that I was so little and daring to do it. So he goes, I'm going to put you in the chorus for the next show. And then it was Magic Flute, I remember. And then he said, I'm going to give you the first little role. So school made a promise that they're going to let me do the roles. So my professional career started when I was sophomore and second year of undergrad. And then it just took off.
Now, when was the return to the motherland?
Returned to the motherland about 2 years ago. So what happened was I signed with IMG Artists, started singing, doing competitions. So I was representing Macedonia in all of the classical circuits, the big competitions, very successfully. And then at the last one, they had said, Vas, you are singing as a bass baritone, but we think you're a tenor. So it was this vocal crisis where I'm like, am I going through a second puberty at 30? So ended up moving to London. This was about 3 years ago now. I lived in London for a year for a teacher.
Okay.
To study the voice. And it was funny, I had to cancel. Opera is a little bit a different world. You audition today for 2 years from today. So that's how the schedule works. Had to cancel everything to focus on studies. And in that study period, I was able to listen to my own voice. And every time I would do a classical concert, I would finish with a pop song or a jazz song. And people always said, opera was amazing, but what you do at the end, nobody can do. And I'm like, I can just fart that out.
Okay.
So that's how that happened. And in that quiet time in London, reflecting during the lessons, I was like, I have so much to say that I want to say with my own voice rather than, no disrespect to all the opera greats.
Yeah.
And Gerdan is how it's the first song that I released about little over a year ago. And then the road took off.
Please, can you sing a snippet of the song?
Which song? I have no voice. Listen to this.
He just got off a flight.
Which song?
The one you just named, your first
Gerdan?
single. Yes.
Gerdan si mila moja ti. We don't got no voice.
Love
So bad.
that. No. You just got off a red eye
Red-eye
flight.
flight.
We're going to be sympathetic. You sound great to me. But this leads to a very obvious question. Fans are asking, what genre will you sing at Eurovision? Will it be opera?
It will not be opera. That I'm certain. Oh no, I don't want to say I'm certain of because you never say never. But we gave a tabula rasa in a way. We blank slate to all the composers. We're all writing songs. So when I go back tonight, I believe I have about 150 songs waiting.
Wow.
So we said, there's a lot of fans writing. They love the ethno-modern feel in Gerdan. They love the modern Latin twist in Patuvan. So it's so we'll see. I'm ready for both because I have background in dance as well. So I said depends on the song that will answer.
I feel so lucky that we were able to speak with you, grab you right now, because you're literally on your way back to North Macedonia. Yeah, the game is on now. Like everything is ramping up. Do you think this time in Canada has been, I don't know, like a way for you to recharge before the madness?
I think so.
The universe had something divine.
Now give me a divine song.
Yes! What about Costa? Costa from Proud. This amazing composer. Shout out to you. He also had songs in Festival Kungis, of course. He's a wonderful composer. Is he among...
Lyricist.
Oh, forgive me, lyricist. Is he among those in the mix right now?
In the mix, for sure. All of them
Okay.
are.
What about Dimitro Darko?
Darko? Yeah,
Darko.
all of them are in the mix.
Okay,
So
we need this A-list. This is A-list Macedonian slayage. The answer is yes. Okay. Now, Patuvan, I'm traveling.
Patuvam, kada noćan mi je topla svetla da. Patuvam, kada denot mi je dolgi vedar dan. Patuvam, kada jave tvoje ispolnet so.
I believe.
Traveling, yeah.
Traveling, there we go.
it doesn't translate properly, but something like that.
Oh, okay. This song was wonderful.
Thank you.
Back in November, I think on November 4th, we published a post because we had been getting signals for a few months that you were kind of hotly tipped to go first in Tel Aviv. The delegation was like, oh, you must meet, Vasil. He's a future Eurovision star. I was like, hello.
Thank you,
Yes.
Macedonian television.
They knew what was in the
Amazing.
stars. And then that
Amazing.
song came out. And that song is so good. It's very Balkan. It's also... It travels well, actually. You could hear it.
touché.
Yeah. Is this genre something you would consider for Eurovision?
Definitely. I think so. It has the vibe, it has the modern, it has the ethnic hints.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
It also is very edgy. This video, how would you describe it? Because to me, it was almost an art piece. It wasn't just a music video.
So I wanted to have a few elements in there. There's voguing, self-expression through pose. And then I played in the overalls with the yellow. To me, that was my inner child. So we journey back. So you always go back to the little you, never lose the little you, because that guides us wherever we are. So that is kind of the double story of that music video. And then it's just expression of dance, dancing, posing, voguing.
Was this video in any way controversial in North Macedonia? It's very edgy. Some people might read different messages in it related to sexuality, freedom, expression. I'm curious how that played.
It still plays.
Present tense.
Yeah, no, I like pushing boundaries. I don't feel that it was done in a overt way. I think it's important to address, and for me, it's always educating not just the little ones, but everybody slowly to be like, hey, it's okay. Love is love.
Yes.
So, it's cheesy, it's cliche, but love is love.
As an immigrant, someone who's been all over the place, dislocated, I guess is a good word. Do you think that in any way impacts your music that you're creating today?
Definitely. And it's interesting that the 4 songs I've released now, all the lyricists keep putting travel, journey, bird. There's in the Macedonian poetry a lot of bird migrating down south, bird flying over the muddy pond, which is the ocean. So the last song of mine goes 100 times over the muddy pond, go away. So it's an interesting that they see me, they're like, you're our ambassador, you're the traveler, you've gone everywhere. But so it's interesting. I feel that it's been all lessons. A lot of the moving around wasn't by choice.
Right.
It's just, it happened, you had to do it. So coming back home this time was me for the 7th time starting over.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just, I'm a cat.
Meow. Meow. My assumption is that North Macedonia has kind of embraced you once more. Like they love having you.
Sure hope so.
Because what a way to come back. I'm going to Eurovision. Welcome, you know?
Well, it's unreal.
Because in Tel Aviv, one thing that really struck me is people called Proud a feminist song. And you made the good point. Yes, it's about women, but it's about more than that. It's a shared journey. What did you take away from Proud as a non-woman?
As a non-woman and as a non-father, because that was the other one there, children. For me, just be proud of who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, it once again might sound cliche, just do you.
Yes.
Be proud. I mean, you don't know if there's going to be a tomorrow. Live in the now and be proud of that.
Speaking of Proud, Tamara Todevska. What a wonderful mentor to have your first Eurovision experience with. What is that relationship like with her?
We met, we're brother and sister now, which is great. The way that came about, I know Costa, and then he said she's going to be singing Proud, and I heard her sing. And we had met once, we didn't know each other, and I said, I have to come to the studio, you sound like a Macedonian trying to sing English. I said, I will help you. So I remember going to the studio, and I had no intention, nor did I know that I was coming to Eurovision. And I was in the studio, so we'd be like singing it back and forth. And then she goes, go in there and sing. I'm like, what do you mean go in there and sing? She's like, go in there and sing. And that's why she's like, you're coming with me. Because I ended up, I don't know if you know, but I prepped her.
Wow.
I was the one who warmed her up and prepped her before every.
What a woman.
Yeah.
And you know, she is so talented, she can see talent.
Yeah.
And she saw you. Oh my God, all the feels. All the feels. Have you met her sister Tiana?
Oh, yes.
Ooh. What do you think of her?
She's a smart woman, I'll tell you that.
Shrewd. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, she can speak English too, I think. I'm trying to remember if she speaks English.
Oh, yeah, she's done a lot of funny interviews.
She's a great conversationalist. Any topic with Tiana, you can just...
Jana Borcheska, have you met her?
Of course.
Can I just tell you, this woman, her English is so spot on. It's like, I mean, the two of you, obviously, as is yours, having been on with America.
She's good. She is snappy. She is on it.
She's smart. She is fire. I just, Basically, ever since Jana Borcheska, the studio cuts out of North Macedonia have been basically amazing. Every single one of them. The question has been staging. How are you approaching this? I guess you don't have the song yet. So
I don't have the song, so we'll see.
Okay. Do you have a vision of how you want to be presented?
Yes. But I'm not telling you.
Okay. We got to save something for Amsterdam, Madrid, Tel Aviv, and London.
Even though we are in London, but the next time in London.
You will be going on the Eurovision tour.
I hope so. That's the plan.
Okay.
Would love to.
Oh gosh. And because of that, y'all, I'm gonna wrap this up because we have months of things to discuss. And like, if I ask you everything now, what are we gonna talk about?
We're gonna knit.
We're gonna knit and drink tea. Yes. But look, Vasil, this is just amazing having you here. Do you have a message in Macedonian language for your fans back home?
Vesakam, fala za se, a idemo napred I nagore.
Wow, what'd you say?
I love you. Thank you for everything. Onwards and upwards.
Ooh, and that works for your English-speaking fans as well. Amen. He is Vasil Garvanliev. Garvanliev. I am William. We will see you later.